Okay, sure. So, hi everyone. Welcome to Ability Talks with Elizabeth Patterson. Today we're going to talk to a few men. I know in the first season we highlighted a lot of women who are doing a lot of things, a lot of great things in the disability advocacy space. But today we're going to talk about men who also co-parent or who live with disabilities themselves and see how they cope and how they manage with everything that they're dealt with. So today my guest is Josiah Eyison. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And folks in the audience, please, I'm sure you'll notice that there's been slight changes, slight edits to our set today. So I want you to draw your attention to the book. Is right now available on Amazon and Ingram Publishing, soon to be available on Barnes & Nobles. And if you don't know Barnes & Nobles, because I'm old, Barnes & Nobles used to be a brick and mortar bookstore based in the US, but now everything is virtual online. So please check out those spaces and purchase a copy of the book, and all proceeds from the book go to support my organization, Girls Education Initiative of Ghana. Thank you so much. Josiah, welcome today.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for always honoring my
and
request.
Congratulations on the
Thank
book
you
too.
so much. Thank you so much. So Josiah and I met, I think 2016 or 2017, randomly when I took students from GIG for a tour in Cancun.
Right.
And I was introduced to you, and it was very brief, but for some reason our connection has lasted over 10 years. And recently I just had this nudge, this inkling that you are dyslexic, and it's something that you don't share often. So tell me a little, firstly introduce yourself and then talk to us about your journey as a dyslexic person.
Okay, so once again, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Josiah Eyison. I am, depending on who you ask, but I'm the CEO of iSpace, which is I would say an innovation space based in Accra. I work with entrepreneurs and I also kind of double in policy for entrepreneurs. So currently working on designing a startup bill to support entrepreneurs. But my whole passion has been about business development and just working with people that want to build businesses. So that's pretty much me, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Josiah, were you born in Ghana or were you born in the UK? Because like myself, I hear an accent.
The accent. For my sins, I was born in Ghana. Left Ghana in '92 and then moved to the UK.
Okay.
Because my mother was there, so it was just a natural transition for me to be there.
So did you start schooling in Ghana?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a strange
Tell us about you being a student in Ghana.
Yeah. You see, the thing, being a student in Ghana was an interesting thing. I think the education system in Ghana is good. Because I saw the difference between myself and the students when I moved abroad. But it's very rigid.
Okay.
Right? It's very rigid. And I struggled a lot in class, mainly because I'm not the kind of student, I'm a visual learner, right? So I'm in class and then they're teaching things and you give me something to read and my brain can't get with it, right? And teachers would just, in their own way, as they call it, disciplining you and forcing you to read something and your brain literally just shuts down, right? And for me, it was difficult. It was really, really difficult. And I kind of became the kind of student, if there's like 30 of us in the class, and I need to just get 50% to pass, I would just do about enough, bare minimum, right? However, the students that came first, if you put me in a debate with them, I will run rings around them. So my understanding of topics are mainly based from a visual point of view rather than from the editorial or textual point of view.
So like you, I agree that the Ghanaian education system foundationally is good, but on the practical terms, I don't see a lot that's really benefiting our students, our different learners. So let's break out learning styles. Let's break that down. Learning styles. I'm also a visual learner. If I don't see it, it doesn't connect to me. Like, and some people are kinesthetic, meaning that they have to touch it in order for it to stick and make some kind of impact. Some people are auditory, some people are visual. We already highlighted that. And then I'm forgetting the other one. But I think for me, I'm a combination of both. If I don't see it, and oftentimes when I'm reading, I have to read with audio music or something in the background. Otherwise, it means nothing to me. And it hasn't really, I don't think when I was in school in Ghana, maybe I didn't pay attention, but as a 0 to 10-year-old, what do you really know? Yeah, but I know from working with students here in Ghana that we all learn differently. How did you survive in the classroom? You mentioned
I was always in trouble. I never survived. Like I was always in trouble, even to the point where it's kind of traumatized me. So anytime somebody mentions my first name, I panic because I'm thinking I'm in trouble, right? And for me, I was always in class. In the class, I would either be sleeping or just switch off, and then my brain would be somewhere else, right? And like you said, it was just I was one of those people that the more noise that I have around me, that's when I can centralize my brain to focus, right? And but then in class, they tell you to be quiet. See, so then that means my brain just wanders off,
and it's checked out and is going everywhere else. Yeah.
See, so I suffered a lot, and I was always in trouble. You know, a teacher will cane you or tell you, you know, the lack of a better word, kind of tell you you're stupid, so to speak, when in reality you're not, but it's just the way. And even it's kind of carried on all the way throughout my adult age, and to the point where I like reading, but I'm not one of those people that will sit down and read a book all the way. I'll read like 2 or 3 chapters and just unblock pages and just toss it aside and then come back later on and do all of that kind of thing. It's because my brain just can't take that system of reading. And so what I've done in my adult age right now, in terms of how I've coped with it.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, but thank you for asking,
we'll go into
for answering it. So how did you cope in the Ghanaian classroom, where if you don't do things like in the very regimented way, you're being punished, and then when you transition to the UK, if you could just give us the dichotomy of education over there,
So I think for me,
and how you coped.
So thanks for that question. I think for me, the Ghana, I kind of coped by conditioning myself to punishment, right? So always being told, you know, good enough, or teacher caning you or whatever. But then moving to the UK, I remember in class where a teacher would give you a book and then tell you to do your own thing. That was also a strange environment to be in, because they assume that you can read, you can do all of these things, so you're left on your own
to teach yourself,
right? And so that was also difficult, because that's where the doubts and everything comes in, because you think, wait, I can't read, but they want me to read, and what am I supposed to do, and all of these other things, until one of my teachers, Mr. Richardson, funny enough, sat down with me and then kind of taught me how to read. And it was just basically, you know, people literally read in this line, right? Like left.
How old were you when Mr. Richardson taught you how to read?
15.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah. And so people read from left to right. I read from the top to the bottom.
How is that possible?
That's to bottom. So I can look at a book, right, and literally I go scan this way and that way, and then I stop right in the middle, and I just go down.
Okay.
And see, so that's how I absorb information, right? So I just scan.
And does it make sense to you?
It makes sense to me, right? But it's just a weird way. And then I also adopted the ability to kind of visualize things. So I will connect dots. So I'm one of those people that I will not read a whole sentence or a whole paragraph on anything. I'll just pick a few things and just connect the dots and make my own understanding of it. So I think so he taught me how to summary read rather than the whole reading context kind of thing, and that helped me along. And then also introducing me to music. Music was a very good
you were a musician at some point.
And I think most artistic people tend to have some form of disability one way or the other, right? And so that's how I was able to cope with it. So by him putting me in a music studio and then using that as another mechanism to read and learn was how I was able to cope with it. So
this brings me to my next question. I know you're a dad. How has your disability, or I don't like to call it disability, your different
way of
ability,
thinking, right.
and some people have recently been telling me it's your superpower, it's your superpower. So how has your superpower fed into your parenting? Are any of your kids dyslexic?
No.
That you know of?
Not that I know of. But I think my last one, she's a bit like me. She doesn't like this structured way of doing things. She's a very free-flowing thing. So anytime you're trying to get her to read a thing, she gets frustrated real quick. So you need to find ways to just talk into her. So I'm more conversational. That, oh, you read the book. What did you learn from the book? You know, what could you have done differently? What this chapter? What do you think this sentence was trying to convey? And all of these. So just after she finishes reading, it's more conversational for her to then be able to then stick that in her brain. And that's what I've been. But my first one, with that one, I don't know. I think she probably got it from her mother more so than anything else. She's excellent in everything that she does. In terms of the way she reads and writes and everything else. But the middle one, who is a boy, I think he's a variant of both. Right? He's very, he pays attention a lot and then takes his time to read things and absorb things. So I think they're very balanced because it was. Their system works differently from our system, right? So yes, I think with them they pretty well.
That's excellent. Well, my two kids, my son, I don't know, it's because I'm so like, I need to do everything by the book, but he's taken that after me. And my daughter is just like your daughter, who is a free spirit. And if we're reading, she has to act it out. She has to like create a dance or something in order for her to actually get it. But she's just as smart as anybody else. For educators who are listening to this, please, if a child is not doing well in your classroom, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not good, they're stupid. Because I remember one of my students back in 2014, we were scouting for students in the Ashanti region, and we took up this one young lady. And the headmaster looked at us and was like, "You're selecting her?" And I said, "We see the potential, but wabong," which means she's dumb. Like she wasn't performing in the classroom, right? He just put it flat out, oh, she's dumb. So if you want to select somebody else, I have other kids who are straight A students. And I was like, no, this is who I want. We see the potential. And then we got her diagnosed. Officially from, I forget the place, but we got her to get a formal diagnosis along with two of our other students. And we realized that they were dyslexic and had also dyscalculia, which means that they learn or read differently, the way you just described, not from right to left, but like right to middle and then down. And then dyscalculia is like doing math or seeing numbers in a different way. So I want to ask you, tell us about when you got your diagnosis and how that affected you. Was it freeing? Did you feel like, oh my God, finally? Yeah,
it was freeing.
There's a reason
then I realized that
I am this way.
Yeah. So I got mine when I was 21.
Wow.
And it only happened because I walked out of my exams. I was just looking at the paper and the thing didn't make sense to me, right? And so I just literally walked out. And then this was when my university, one of my lecturers just basically encouraging me to do that, right? So going through the test and they let you read things and go through different patterns of things, trying to see how your brain works. And that's how we came out, right? And it was freeing because I realized that, oh, okay, so I'm not stupid. It's just I have a different way of learning. And I use that method even up to now, particularly when I'm working with entrepreneurs. Is the funny thing is if you write something for me to read, I can't read it. Like no matter
what. So the book that I have given you,
no. You see, it's, especially
I'm just joking.
It's just because when I choose to read something, that's easy because I made that choice. But even when we pitch, for example, and you design my slides, I would not read it for anything. And I had this typical example. We were in Ethiopia and they were trying to explain a system to people, but it was written and everybody was struggling. But I looked at the thing And I was like, hold on a second.
It made sense to you.
It just made sense to me. So instead of explaining it to people, I used like a human demonstration. So I called the human beings and then placed them in a pictorial form. And I said, okay, in order for this to work, this person needs to connect with that person in order for this person to, and it made sense to people. But then everybody was like, oh, that's genius. I was like, no, that was just how my brain understood the thing to be. And it's just, it works for me. Because even now, when I'm teaching entrepreneurs about the business model canvas or building frameworks, I just connect dots, right? And the other day, I came up with this theory that I have, a pentagon theory, when it comes to businesses. Because in my mind, businesses work in 5 structures, right? So it's either operational, it's legal, it's innovation, then you're looking at finance and all of these other things. And we struggle because we don't know that those 5 pillars are what you need to do at the very beginning of business.
Course, yeah.
And so I came up with that. I'm thinking, okay, so this is how you're supposed to connect the dots, right? And so when I'm working with entrepreneurs, I'm always building frameworks. But they think I'm doing it for them. In reality, I'm doing it for
yourself,
me,
so it
right?
makes sense to you.
Makes sense to me. And that's how I go about the year. But for the age of 21, got diagnosed because I walked out of my exams. Like, I'm not doing it. And I think we need to have another way of examining students.
Definitely,
right?
definitely.
Because for me, if even today, if you tell me to go to a room, an exams structured environment to write about entrepreneurship, Elizabeth, I'll fail. I'm telling you.
I'm sure you wouldn't.
No,
I mean, if you have to write it,
I will fail.
Yeah, that
but
would
if
be a
you sit
struggle
with
for you.
me to tell you about all the things,
but if you have
I'll
to actually
ace it.
practice and do it,
I'll
and
ace
we've
it.
seen you doing it as co-founder of iSpace,
right.
Ghana Tech Hub's president for I think 2 years
4
or
years.
so. 4 years. Wow.
Which is a record
I don't want to
itself, so.
take back your I don't want to diminish your credit and a whole slew of other things. You just talked about how you're able to, I think, manage or just make sure that the systems and the environments you're in accommodate to you, right? So in Ghana here, accommodation is nearly non-existent. I remember after my accident, I really, really wanted to go back to school, and I did. So having to be in a classroom where I was given, it was a traumatic brain injury. It's still a traumatic brain injury. And the psychologists and the people who tested me were like, okay, so she has memory issues, short-term memory issues, all the latent things from when I was growing up in Ghana. You could ask me, I could direct you to where our house was in Kumasi. But if you asked me, like, what did you just have for lunch? I couldn't remember. And in Ghana, I share all this just to say in Ghana, those things are not there. What accommodations, what systems would you like for us to put in place for different learners in Ghana, which you work in the space? Right.
I think the nature of the A, B, C classes that we have, we really need to do away with them. Because already that eats away at people's self-confidence and all of those other things. But then we also need to bring back other forms of examinations, other forms of learning. Diagnose students very early on, right? So instead of forcing students to learn exactly the same thing, so you read a book and then enter exams hall and see who comes first and second and all of those other stuff. Some people, like we said, are visual. So in this sense, or some people might be more way of communicating orally, they would just do that. So we need to form another exams where those that are written can do the written part. Those that are very visual can visualize it, and those that are very oral can then be able to do it. And then the teachers also, their way of teaching is very and it's finished. If you get it, you get it. You don't, and it's very almost like repetitive.
We're teaching
right?
to the test.
We're teaching to the test, right? Not because some of us learn to make sense, not to for examination purposes. And I think those are the things that they need to change, and also the form of punishment that comes with not getting something, right? Because I mean, when I went to school, you come in the morning, and the teacher would come in and be like, 10 times 10, 30 times 11. And you think to yourself, sometimes our brain hasn't woken up.
It doesn't quickly,
just click on
There's
things.
probably a kid in there who did not have breakfast. So,
at all. Right? Because some people need that thing to get them going. Some people can click within 5 minutes. Some people it takes a long time for them to get their brain going. So all of these things has to be something that teachers have to look out for. So teachers should not just be teaching, so to speak. They need to also then start observing the children, figuring out how is this person relating to the topic that I'm teaching them. Why are they not interested in this particular topic, but they're interested in this particular topic, and then see how you can then move them up. And again, the way in which we judge students against other students is not fair. We need to judge students against themselves. Right? So your first exams, you got this, your second exams, this is what you get. So it's against yourself. More progressive rather than, that grading type of way of teaching things. And they need to do away with the cane as well, because once you have fear, you won't learn.
Of course.
You won't learn.
I've stepped into my kids' school and I've seen teachers with a cane, and I look at them and I say, are we still doing this? After so many years of me being in school in Ghana, and they've told me repeatedly, we're not using the cane anymore. It's just to instill fear. And rightfully, like you said, if there's the fear of this, like if I don't get it, I will be caned. Obviously, no one's going to make any progress.
Effort, So for me, that needs to change. And again, it's just the whole editorial way or textural way of us to be learning. We need to change it. Not everything has to be in a text format. Some people, like you said, now we can learn audio. So again, let students listen to the textbook audiobooks, and then they can write down what they heard and kind of visualize it and do whatever they need to do. Those, because we need to move on from that. Technology has made it possible for us to be able to do that. And even now with the way in which AI should be able to then kind of
there's text to speech, there's all kinds of things.
See, so in this case, they need to then bring that. So where a teacher can say something, you then use the whole AI to then write it down and then kind of translate it in any format or whatever. And sometimes also, maybe we need to also kind of localize our language, because we teach.
I've said it on so many occasions to people that we've worked with that there's a lot of research that supports if you teach kids, I think, in the early years in the local language, they will grab it sooner than just going to English. Because South Africa does it very well. In rooms that I've been in South Africa, it's usually the local language first. But in Ghana, I don't know why
it's like
we're stuck on English.
And so those are for me some of the ways in which, and your environment also counts, because if you come from some of the neighborhoods that we came from, and you're not really around people that read a lot, people that have discussions on books and everything else, you're going to be slow. And you're not slow because you're stupid, you're just slow because that's your environment. So I think sometimes also, especially the French teachers or the English teachers, when you give us chapters to read, let's have a discussion in the class around it, and then it will motivate students differently. So for me, I think we need to have a blend of that learning styles. So
blended learning, competency-based learning, these are all things that I try to incorporate within the organization, within GEIG. I always say it so fast that you don't hear, but within GEIG and our students. Thank you so much for that. In our last 10 minutes or so, I want us to go back to how did you ever see your dyslexia showing up in a way in how you were parenting or co-parenting? I assume your co-parent or your partner doesn't have any disabilities. Did you ever see it manifesting in any way? And talk about some of the challenges, if any.
So for me, I shied away from helping them read books and then do that. What I kind of did was I would watch documentaries with them and then we would talk about it, because that was a way for me to then engage their learning and all of that. So then they ended up having much more of a broader view on things, and so their mother she's the more clever one out of the two. She's just into the reading and all of these other things. So with her, she's able to do the traditional way of doing. So she's been able to push them in that way. I'm more of, let's watch a program, and then talk about it, that kind of thing, and then watch a movie version of what it is that you've read, or you read a book and we discuss it. So I'm more like read the book and then come and discuss it, rather than me sit down with you and reading it, that kind of of thing. So that's where I think the styles kind of manifested itself. So I do more of the discussion thing, and then she does the proper traditional way of doing it.
Do your kids know that you have a learning difference?
No.
They don't know.
I haven't exposed. I think they're going to know now.
Hopefully they watch. But how do you think they'll react once they get this? I think now they're used to you, so it will click for them.
It will click for them.
Okay.
And I think my oldest one and my last one would be shocked, especially my last one, because sometimes I send videos to her and she's like, "Oh, Dad, you speak so well, and the way you handle this to me, because you don't know how my brain works."
You do speak very well.
That's what she says, right? And so I think for me, it's just knowing, having the privilege and being lucky enough to be diagnosed in an environment that was supportive has helped me a lot to be able to do that.
Excellent.
And knowing my, I would say, weakness in that sense, I've been able to develop strengths in doing that. So where I know that I'm not going to read, I've just figured I will get broad knowledge or as much knowledge about a particular topic as possible, and then narrow that down. So then what I narrowed down seems to be a lot for other people, but really is just a narrowed down version of what people know. So it's knowing what those weaknesses are and then turning them into strengths.
Right.
That's what I've done, really. Yeah.
I think if anybody is taking anything away from this, it will be knowing what your weaknesses are and like turning them into strengths. Because that is your superpower.
And I think not being ashamed of who you are, right? Not being ashamed of who you are. Because I even saw it even in music, where so in hip hop, really, we have something called freestyling and all of these other things. Whereas my friends were very good at writing lyrics and memorizing them, not me. You play a beat and then I'm off.
Of course.
Right? And sometimes they look at me like, I'm thinking, yeah, because my brain works differently from the way your brain works. Whereas you have to write your 16 bars and memorize it. I don't have time for that. Give me the topic and I'm good to go. So it's just knowing what those things are and then working towards it. So,
so I'm laughing because I think people just know me as GIG.
Right.
But when you're mentioning 16 bars, you're mentioning freestyling. It takes me to my days in high school, and I'm gonna put you on the spot. Can you freestyle for us? Just something very like you don't have to do a full 16 or 32.
Okay. So understand how the hood works. We used to. Hold on. Let me start again. Hold on. Yeah. So I came in the door like a project games, and anything the games that you play, the niggas remember my name. But I'm telling you, it's all the game that you all play. We don't show fear here. Everything's a game to you until we open the door. I thought you was a gangster until they showed you that we moved from 1 to 4, opened out wide jaws like Kanye West, but we crashing. Ain't nothing. I think you are the one that said you have the S on your chest, but you Superman, but Kryptonite will stop that real quick. Bullet and bars, the only bars you know is the ones that you drink in. The bars they know is the prisons that they sink in. You're saying gangsters, you talk it, but listen, some of us, we just walk it, but it is what it is. But it's just a game. Me, I'm a businessman, but you, on the other hand, well, it's just a plan, something like that.
Thank you so much. Like can we give him a round of applause? He just shut the whole thing down. Was that 16 or 30?
Well, I think it was probably about 17.
Okay. Anyway.
But so we used to do that.
When you tune into Ability Talks, you get freestyling by Josiah Eyison. When I think the first time I posted a Mos Def thing on Facebook, you commented.
And
so that's when I knew that maybe we are more aligned in some ways than the other. So thank you so much for dropping your gems and your knowledge on
us. Go buy the book.
Go buy the book.
Yeah, you need to buy the book, read about it, and it's just a good book. Read it, you learn a lot. Let me just listen. Get the book, right? Look at my life after death. Take it in its literal meaning. There's something after that, right? And I just love the whole story that you're telling. It's a beautiful story. People need to understand, get to know you, and just congratulations.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I know you. I think in my mind, I feel like I know you, but then this conversation has really opened up a lot for me. And the bond that we have virtually and at times off the interwebs, I think it's become more real to me now that we've sat down and spoken. Thank you so much for always supporting me, always supporting GIG,
welcome.
always supporting anything that I do. Like if I sneeze and I say, Josiah, let's make something out of it,
We'll
you're
make it
there. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your truth, your life story. A little bit about yourself and opening up. I appreciate it. I admire your honesty and I think you told me over text that it's brave that I wrote this book, but I feel like you've been very brave also to share what you shared today.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
I think we're wrapped, right?